One of the most powerful features in ListenLayer is the ability to push custom values into your data layer in real time based on rules that you create in the system. The drift listener allows you to do this. And once you have enabled the feature, you'll see a new menu item down here called custom values. The first step, however, is to define data layer variables at the global level that are then available to write rules for within all of your various listeners. You can see here I have a number of variables already defined, and we're going to jump into the custom values to take a look at some rules. Now, I'm going to walk through some high-level examples, but there is a more in-depth review regarding how to write rules that you can watch here. So when you first create a rule, you'll be able to select either a simple rule or a lookup rule. And let's first drill into the simple rule, which is called high quality chat. And what we're looking for here is a variable called message from user count. And we want that to contain the number 4. And once this condition is met, what we want to do is push a value into our data layer. And we're going to use the variable called quality chat, which I defined in my global settings up here. And in this case, I would like the value of that to be high. Use that then in an analytics platform such as Google Tag Manager to write rules, or even Google Analytics to determine when an event might become a goal. But in this case, I would like to further enhance this by actually putting some information in the variable about where this high quality chat occurred. So I'm going to insert a variable from my data layer, and this is the href variable. It's the location that the event is actually occurring on. And we're going to save that rule. And then we're going to publish this. And before we dive into the actual data layer and look at the results of that, let's drill into a lookup rule. Now, when you create lookup rules, what you're essentially doing is selecting some events and variables and making those a part of a condition. And if that condition is met, you're then going to push specific values into another variable or even multiple variables within the data layer. And it's important to note that these rules are read top to bottom. And once a match is found, it'll stop reading. And therefore you can control how the rules behave relative to each other. So just taking a look at the actual settings, what we first did here is select the event that we're most concerned with, which is drift message from user, and the variable that we want to actually look at within our conditions. Now, it's important to note that if you want something to apply to any drift message, you can actually leave the events empty and simply match a specific variable. There does not need to be an event. And then if the conditions are matched, we're going to define a value in this data layer variable. And so you can see we want an event related to drift message from user to be matched, and we want to have a certain user count. And as long as that event is true, and then the user count matches one of these values, we're going to push a specific value into this variable. And so in this case, you can see my methodology here is that if the user sends 1 message, 2 messages, 3 messages, or 4 messages, I want to push a value into the user score change of 1. But once the user hits the threshold of 5 messages, I think that that's more valuable. And every single additional message the user sends is basically going to increase their overall user value by 2 times what every message before that increases. And so you could actually use this user score change data layer element. You can push that into the user's browser in local session or cookie storage. and you can actually use the browser storage feature to do that. Or you could directly capture it into a tool like Google Tag Manager as it's pushed into the data layer, and then utilize that in an analytics platform. So let's take a minute to look at what this does on our website. So here we have a drift chat, and we are in Google Tag Manager's debug mode. And we are going to start a chat. You can see here that we have a chat started activity as well as a message from the user and a response from the agent. And you can see our message from user count is 1. And as a result, our lookup value rule has pushed a user score change value of 1. So let's send a few more messages. Now you can see the user has sent 3 additional messages. We have a user score of 1, user score of 1. And all of a sudden, when we hit the threshold of 4, our simple rule kicks in. And we identify this as being now a high quality chat. And you can see we've actually pushed the location of the chat into that data layer as I showed in the ListenLayer interface. And our user score change is still 1. So you can easily capture these variables into Tag Manager or another platform similar to that and push that data into Google Analytics or utilize it for conversion tracking based on specific rules. In this case, I could send all of my chats as events to Google Analytics, but I could convert them to a goal only if the quality chat contains the word hi. So let's send another message. What we should see here is our user score has changed to 2 as a result of the lookup table rule. Now, there's a lot of use cases for lookup tables and even simple rules. So take some time, dive into some additional learning videos, and get creative with the powerful things that you can do with ListenLayer.